Look at this comparison. As of August 2026, Warren Buffett's real-time net worth stands at a staggering $141.6 billion. It is a sum that exceeds the gross domestic product of many nations.
But this fortune isn't the story of a sudden windfall. At the end of 2025, Buffett officially retired as Berkshire Hathaway's CEO, handing the reins to Greg Abel while staying on as chairman at age 95, born back in 1930. It's the story of a lifetime spent compounding one single mathematical force.
To understand the origin of this wealth, we have to look back at his financial status in 2020. At 90 years old, his net worth sat at exactly $84.5 billion. Look at this division. Of that $84 billion fortune, 99.6% was accumulated only after he reached his 50th birthday. Look at this comparison. 96.4% of that 2020 wealth was generated after he reached the age of 65. This extreme late-stage concentration of wealth behaves in a way that standard earnings cannot explain. At an age when most people's financial growth begins to level off, this trajectory moved almost entirely vertically. The human brain evolved to understand linear growth. Our intuition is built to process simple addition over time. Look at this chart. In this hypothetical scenario, adding exactly $10 to a ledger every year creates a flat, predictable line of growth. Year 1 is $10, year 2 is $20, year 10 is $100. Compound interest operates on a geometric plane. Under this system, your past returns are reinvested, meaning they begin to generate their own returns through multiplication. Look at this hypothetical compounding model, a $100 investment earning 10% annually. Year 1 yields $10, totaling $110. Year 2's return on that new total earns $11. Year 3 yields $12.10. In these early stages, the mathematical advantage is tiny. A $1 or $3 gap feels insignificant to the human brain. This visual similarity to slow, linear growth is a psychological trap. It causes many to abandon the process before it can reach the vertical phase. You can visualize this immense mathematical momentum as a small snowball rolling down a vast, steep, snowy slope. As the snowball's volume increases, its surface area expands. Reaching the bottom of the hill, it picks up massive amounts of snow with every rotation.
Mathematicians simplified this into a shortcut called the Rule of 72. Divide 72 by your annual return, and you get roughly how many years your money takes to double. At 8%, that's about 9 years. At Berkshire's actual 19.7% rate, it's roughly every 3.7 years, more than twice as fast. Look at this comparison. Picture 3 hypothetical savers, each starting with $10,000 and adding $5,000 a year at that same 8% return until age 95. One starts at 22 and ends up with roughly $19.9 million. One starts at 27, just 5 years later, and ends with about $13.5 million. One starts at 32, a decade later than the first, and ends with about $9.2 million. Same savings, same return, only the start date changed, and starting a decade earlier more than doubled the outcome.
Between 1965 and 2025, Berkshire Hathaway became the ultimate corporate manifestation of this snowball. Look at this comparison. Over that period, the broader market's S&P 500 achieved a 10.5% average annual return, while Berkshire's returns compounded at 19.7% annually. This advantage is a 9.2 percentage point annual gap. While a single-digit percentage advantage sounds modest, allowing that 9.2-point gap to compound for 61 years creates a massive divergence in the final results. Look at this chart. Over that 61-year span, the total cumulative return for the S&P 500 was 46,061%. Look at this comparison. The total return for Berkshire Hathaway over that exact same period was 6,099,294%. To understand the impact of these percentages, we have to translate them into tangible dollars. If you invested a single dollar in the S&P 500 in 1964, today it is worth approximately $462. But that exact same dollar in Berkshire Hathaway is worth roughly $60,994. This is a 132-times outperformance, generated entirely by that 9.2-point annual gap compounding over 6 decades. This empire is headquartered in the unassuming city of Omaha, Nebraska. This growth is the result of holding businesses for decades and letting the mathematical engine run undisturbed by the urge to trade or speculate. Buffett's 95-year journey shows that the compounding engine does not require a massive head start. It only requires the discipline to start the snowball and the patience to never step in its way. In 2014, a 92-year-old resident passed away in the quiet New England town of Brattleboro, Vermont. His neighbors knew him as a fixture of the community who worked with his hands. For roughly 25 years, he earned a modest blue-collar wage repairing cars and pumping fuel as a local gas station attendant. Instead of retiring in his 60s, he took a job as a part-time janitor at a local JCPenney, where he spent another 17 years sweeping floors before finally leaving the workforce at age 76. He lived with extreme modesty. He drove an old car, held his coat with safety pins, and was known to park far away from his destinations just to avoid the small fee of a parking meter. When his estate was finally settled and his will was executed in 2015, the community discovered the true scale of his life's work. Almost his entire fortune was left as a legacy to his town. Look at this estate value. This retired janitor had quietly accumulated a net worth of nearly $8 million. Look at this ledger. He bequeathed $4.8 million to Brattleboro Memorial Hospital and $1.2 million to Brooks Memorial Library. $8 million accumulated because a silent mathematical law was running in the background of his low-wage life for nearly a century. The engine driving this growth was kept inside a heavy stainless steel safe deposit box at a local bank. Inside was a 5-inch-thick stack of paper stock certificates. Look at this chart. He avoided speculative technology stocks, instead building a portfolio of 95 diversified blue-chip companies, including massive stakes in Procter & Gamble, JP Morgan Chase, General Electric, J.M. Smucker, CVS Health, and Johnson & Johnson. He viewed the stock market as a productive orchard. He sought out businesses with durable competitive advantages that paid regular, reliable dividends regardless of the economic climate. His strategy relied on the self-reinforcing loop of dividend compounding. Every time these companies issued a quarterly cash payout, he immediately used that cash to buy more shares. Each purchase increased his share count, which made the next dividend payment even larger.
Look at this hypothetical scaling. At a steady 10% return, a $500,000 portfolio gains $50,000 in a year. Grow that same portfolio to $1 million, and that same 10% generates $100,000. At $3 million, it's $300,000 a year. At $5 million, $500,000 a year. Same rate of return throughout, only the balance changed. And purely on dividends, a hypothetical $2 million portfolio at a 3.5% yield throws off $70,000 a year in cash. Grow it to $5 million, and that same yield delivers $175,000, reinvested every quarter. This is the exact engine Ronald Read had running for over 50 years.
A single verified transaction illustrates the power of this timeline. Look at this trade record. In 1959, he bought 39 shares of Pacific Gas and Electric for $2,380. Look at this comparison. 55 years later, adjusted for splits and reinvested dividends, that investment reached $10,735. By repeating this process across 95 separate stocks for over 50 years, he grew a physical stack of paper certificates into a machine generating $20,000 in passive monthly dividend income. This growth was not the result of perfect decision-making. Like any investor, he experienced significant setbacks and losses. During the 2008 financial crisis, the prominent investment bank Lehman Brothers collapsed, and because he held equity in the firm, that specific holding was wiped out. While a total loss of that scale would be catastrophic for many, his overall net worth remained remarkably stable. He relied on a margin of safety created by extreme diversification. Look at this comparison. Because his capital was spread across 95 independent businesses in healthcare, utilities, and rail transport, the total bankruptcy of Lehman Brothers had a minimal impact on the portfolio's long-term returns. This safety net is what allows compounding to work undisturbed. It ensures that a single corporate failure cannot interrupt the multi-decade momentum of the entire collection. He conducted his research in the quiet reading rooms of the local library, reading the Wall Street Journal and Barron's away from the noise of the financial world. At the same time, from an office in Omaha, Nebraska, Warren Buffett was using nearly identical principles to build the world's most successful conglomerate. While one man operated at a corporate scale and the other from a public library, both were playing the exact same mathematical game, built on time and reinvested earnings. Compounding is an indiscriminate mathematical law. When decades of patience are combined with durable businesses and the consistent reinvestment of returns, the resulting geometric growth reaches a scale that linear intuition consistently underestimates.
But Wall Street will tell you, leverage is the real engine. Borrow money, take on debt, amplify your returns. Charlie Munger warned otherwise. There are only 3 ways a smart person goes broke: liquor, ladies, and leverage. Debt amplifies your gains until it wipes you out. Time is the only leverage that's completely free of risk. No interest, no margin call, no bankruptcy. Ronald Read leveraged 92 years of an ordinary life instead of a single dollar of debt. And it was enough. The hill is long. The only question is whether you have the patience to let it compound.